my friend. Welcome to Yarnchix Podcast. I think we're in episode 47 right now, so I welcome you to this corner of YouTube where I podcast about knitting, mending, sewing, patchwork crafts sometimes, toy making. I also always include a little knit reportage at the very end, plus a tarot knit oracle where I ask my tarot cards questions considering not just knitting but also community and political action. So I'm quite happy to say that I have bought myself a new deck, so you will see some new imagery at the very end. I live in Berlin. My name is Mimi. I podcast from a certain area of Berlin, which is called Wedding. We have a very busy road just behind the camera there, and I have to record near this big window because it's a bit of a grey and gloomy day. So excuse the road noise, that's just what it's like in the middle of the city on a busy road. I hope you have something nice to drink. I have a really nice Oolong Tea. This one. And I drink it with a lot of milk and a spoon of sugar, and I love it. It's very earthy, and it comes from the tea garden Hucheng from the Fujian province of China. So it's like a Chinese oolong, and I am really enjoying it. I have recently started really getting into my oolong tea, and I also kombucha brew, so you would have seen some brewing in the past. This weekend I will start a brew with this oolong, and it makes me so happy to try out a new tea with my SCOBY. And yeah, I'm enjoying this cup where I'm drinking it with a lot of milk and a little sugar. And yeah, I'm nosy to find out what your preferred tea is. Maybe you have a herbal tea or a black tea or green tea that you enjoy especially. And I do hope you're well and you have your favourite bevy beside you. Let's have a cup of tea and sit and knit and chat and yeah, catch up a little bit.
Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here. I got time, it's clear to see. From up here, the world seems small. We can sit together. It's so beautiful, you and me. We're meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free.
This little visual kind of bridge into the podcast because I think it's got a nice way of introducing some of the projects and give you a little bit of a introduction to this episode. I know there's a lot of admin stuff coming, so I've prepared some stuff. I've been away from this space a little bit in order to oh god, I gotta be careful, tread careful with my soul in order to process the loss of my pet Marie, who usually would mill about through this podcast as well, and I think that was why it has been hard for me to just sit and knit even. I've had a bit of a loss of the good old knitting mojo, and I'm thankful for the Magic 3 Make-Along starting right now, like as of 1st of May. So we're already 10 days in, because today is the 12th? No, it's already the 13th. So we've had a fortnight of Magic 3 Mile. And I have spent this morning drawing some ideas, and I will be sharing and showing some of my plans for this year's Make-Along. I'm excited. It's a bit of a relief and an utterly welcomed distraction from, a hole in my life. A big old gap. And we all obviously knew that this was what was happening due to a kind of like the cancer illness of our dog. But still, I am learning how deep a scar it actually leaves to have a pet dog and to lose a pet dog. And I'm going to leave it at that. A little distractive. Look at these drawings in order to bridge over visually into the Magic 3 Make-Along of 2021. I have set out and planned 3 sets, and I would have kind of combined all there are on here, but I guess you can see there's still some gaps. As always, I'm dreaming and hoping for much, much more. Last year's plan making is up there, and actually on this plan I have included things that I didn't finish in 2020. That's me. I kind of set out to make a whole lot, and I dream and plan a whole lot, and then I'm kind of happy if I get some of it done. That's just my perspective of making, because I am a dreamer. And a lot of my crafts happen in kind of the hope for it. So this year I'm trying to stay a bit more focused. So as you can see, 3 tops, 3 toys, 3 bottoms. And I have also drawn little cards for the sets. The good thing about my projects, actually, some of them are works in progress, and I highly encourage that. In our Make-Along, we make these kind of sets of 3 items, tops, bottoms, and toys, and we combine them in a set and create flatlays. This is just because I highly respect matters of privacy, especially when it comes to social media with children. So the intention is we can all make this flatlay with no, we don't have to show the faces or identities of our children, and we can also kind of combine it and show it in a very different and more creative way. Obviously that means the garments aren't shown like as they're worn or on a body, but I don't really mind. I think these sets actually sparkle by being kind of made as this craft item, and then once they're used, they're out there in the world. and enjoyed and worn and probably split up because that's also not important. You don't need to make all 3 items for just the one child, but we're making children's sizes, and we're making tops, bottoms, and a toy. Interpretation totally open. In this case, we have had so many really cool, creative and personal ways of interpreting the way the sets were created. So you can always check this hashtag. I'll put it in here in writing, and I'll put it in the down bar as well, because you can see we've been making sets since I think 2017 or maybe 2016. So I think it's the 4th year running, which means 2017 was the first year we did this. And hooray, there have been so many beautiful makes, and so many beautiful crafters have joined in the past. I welcome you, and I encourage you to join in, because I'm excited and I'm happy to see what this year's crafting and creations will bring. It's also not really about finishing, to be honest. It's more about our community time. I have this podcast and I report about my makes and my crafts, and I kind of pull in some of your makes as well, especially when it comes to the make-alongs. I'll share some of the creations later on. But at the point of the make-along, and especially the kind of communications around a community craft along, that's when I feel my podcast is most alive and where I enjoy it myself the most. Because it's the best thing to craft together alongside each other and to connect through, however busy our daily lives are, we connect through this kind of weird space in between where we carve out time and we craft, and then we share about it and we help each other out if there's questions, if there's some yarn missing. We've had mail sent in between friends, and it's kind of the light at the end of a busy day, because often my crafting falls into nighttime. And yeah, I enjoy picking up my phone and chatting with you guys. So for the admin of the Magic 3 Make Along, we will be using Instagram and the Instagram hashtag Magic3Mal. You're very welcome to add Magic3Mal 2021 so that it's in this kind of capsule, but to be honest, I'll find it in whatever way, because I'm, checking through those hashtags. Feel free to tag me in your posts if that is something you don't mind doing, because then I definitely find your creations or your plannings. And let's chat. Last year, because of the issue with Ravelry accessibility being already it was already in a discussion and a huge issue for 2020 in our group, so I stopped using Ravelry. At the end, we did have some communication there, because the year had started with more hopefulness for that virtual space, but it kind of failed us. So now I'm doing interviews about plan making and ideas and specific flat lays with individuals through my Patreon page. It's free content because I want our community to have a place to go to and read these blog posts. I will kick off with some of my planning and my knit dreams, and especially the mending mending process of my sets this year. I will kick off with that, but you will surely find free content there, and I know my Patreon crew doesn't really mind that, and I love that. It can be a bit of a blog. So throughout this 2021 Magic 3 Mile, Patreon will become the official blog space, and it's a great place because you can comment and chat, and you can read up in a bit more detail than I can provide through Instagram. And it's kind of shadowing algorithm pressure. So check out all these places and feel free to ask me anything considering it. in order to kick off a bit more properly this Sunday. So I guess today is Thursday, I will film and edit Friday, so this weekend I'm gonna try and hop on and do an Instagram live. So I just checked the calendar. It's Sunday the 16th of May and I will go live in the evening around 7 or 8 on Instagram, so we can have a little kind of knit night online virtual chatter. Yeah, and also always feel free to comment underneath this podcast. There is written information in the description box, but I'm always happy to answer any questions through any kind of communication streamline, and why not use the YouTube channel comments. Okay, I wanted to share some of my drawings. So this is a set I plan for a younger child. So it is the Pop Cardigan by Rachel of Daughter of a Shepherd, with some harem pants, which I think others have crafted in the past, and I do want to sew that. And finally, I'm gonna join the Marine Gold Doll Craft Along. It is a make along hosted by Fran of the Woolen Hearted podcast, who is a bear maker. I think her podcast is currently stopped, but we're chatting and writing a lot on Instagram, and I'm excited to start with this doll. And I've made more drawings, but I will keep them for the next couple of podcasts. I'm going to start talking about this by introducing the doll I want to make. In this gorgeous basket, I've gathered all the materials, or what I think all the materials are that I need. And, you know, you do need stuffing wool, so I got some fleece, and this is from Icelandic sheep, I think, that we sell through Wollen Berlin, which is where I work, a yarn store in Berlin, Friedrichshain. I also bought the yarn for the hair that I want to craft at our shop. This is Midnight Soul. It's a baby alpaca, tencel and merino wool. I like it because it hasn't got silk in it, and I like it because it hasn't got synthetics in it, which I think might be a good good fiber for crafting hair. I've once made a doll which I've given to a young friend of mine who really enjoyed this doll, so I did crochet the hair part, and it was a very similar yarn to this, maybe not as dense, maybe more fluffy, but yeah, I'm excited to try this out, especially because I'm thinking about crafting longer hair. I don't know if you might have seen from the little drawing, I'm trying to create more tufts of hair rather than like the short baby hair that I had done. I used the twink baby pattern way back when I did, when I made that doll. I think when my child was 1 or 2, my youngest, so that's about 8 years ago. I bought a new pattern. I think this time it's the Pip pattern. It's more of a rag doll, so longer limbs, but a small size doll. So I'm hoping to get a kind of doll this size, not a large doll, but a small doll, because I want it to be quite easily carried by a small person who I'm making this for. So I've got the hair, I've got the stuffing, and in this basket I also have the material you need, which is this kind of tube material that's also used for when you do bandages. So it's a very specific tube for making the head. I think you have to run it double so it's very sturdy when you create the face. And I didn't have this, but my friend Zara sent me it, which is really kind of her. She also made me a crochet hook, which I'm gonna try and use for the hair design, so I'm very excited to use that. And the other fabric that I created myself, well, I didn't weave the fabric. It's a jersey. It's an old t-shirt that I ended up dyeing with plant matter. And I think it is actually, it's very patchy. I don't know if I'm gonna have to over dye it again. I'm gonna see. I'm gonna just start the process of making this doll and check out if it actually looks as I'd hoped, or if you can probably see on this camera quite well, these lines that have happened with my natural dye process will actually change the way the features look. So if that's wrong, I'm gonna over dye it again. So far I've used tansy from last summer. I've used walnut husks, and what was the third thing? Maybe, oh, and I'd saved, sorry, I just went blank. And I'd saved up tea bags over a period of time, let's say 10 days, and made this massive pot of like super strong tea from leftover tea, and dyed the t-shirt in that again. To round up this part about Magic 3 Mile, I thought I'll end this part where I'm talking about the Magic 3 Mile with showing something that I've crafted for last year's category winner. So this is the Isaura Cape, a pattern by Rosa Pomar, and I had knitted it one in the past in these colors, in these pinks, and this time I chose to craft it using all sorts of leftover yarns, like scrap bits, and the main color is like a mocha, like a very sheepy color, and it's so lovely. I like the whole vintage vibe it has, and I hope Lika enjoys it and her child enjoys it as well. Only some of these colors repeat themselves. Most of them were like smaller scraps. I'm gonna continue using up scraps in this way. I'm not sure if that is what's going to be the prize next year, or whether I should make something entirely different for the winner this year. I will come to terms with that. I will find my feet with what I choose to craft, but I will definitely be using scraps. And I'm so happy that I get to send this to Lika now that we've begun. I will block it because I think it should get a chance to bloom, and I want to take a picture of it after blocking because I literally just cast off. But yeah, I'm excited, and I'm happy to knit this pattern. Yeah, if you are into mending, if you're into upcycling, if you have lots of whips or lots of stash that you want to get through for Magic 3 Mile, then please tag your project with with this hashtag. It's called Magic 3 Mending Mountain, I think. And it's all about climbing that mountain and starting somewhere on this journey of mending items and reducing the amount of things that are out of circulations because of, small tears. So I would highly encourage you to work in that area. I'm gonna make something hopefully quicker than these Aura Cape last year for that person to cherish and to celebrate them, because I think Lika did an amazing job. The other make-along we have throughout summer for the Yarnchix podcast is the linomukakal knit-along. Linomukakal is a really amazing linen yarn. It's 100% linen and it comes from Lithuania. We sell it through Berlin where I work, and the past couple of years I've hosted the linomukakal knit-along. So this is the linomukakal yarn with the beautiful label design from Caro, my other colleague from Berlin. And this year I chose to knit something from this, it's called Blue linomukakal. And I have got several projects kind of still settling down like knit dream dust on my brain, but there is one specific one which came about from last year, which is the Remimuta cardigan, a design by Julia. She is Fräulein Städtisch on Instagram, and she is generously sponsoring our craft along. So if you want to win the giveaway for Linomukakal cast on time, I'm hosting a little giveaway through this podcast. So please comment below in the podcast comment box of today's podcast what project you are dreaming up to knit from Linomukakal. This will be drawn for the next podcast, so I'm hoping to film something still in May so that you have a confirmation of what to knit. The knit along will start at the end of this month, I reckon around the 20th or 25th of May. Please check the Linomukakal hashtag on Instagram in order to find out our kickoff days. I think I will do a post there as well to encourage this giveaway, and let's see what you can win. So the prize is all of this year. We have a Linomukakal flower, a linen flower pin. We have this glorious bag with a shiny sheep printed on it. The light is kind of washing it out right now, but when you hold it, it's glorious. You have this kind of sparkly silver sheep on this grey bag. And last but not least, the quantity of Linomukakal you need for knitting your own Remimuta cardigan, plus the pattern of the Remimuta cardigan. Lovely Julia sponsoring my little giveaway, and Voln is sponsoring with this bag, the pin and the yarn. And I'm so excited that I get to find out what you're planning or dreaming to knit throughout Linomukakal in 2021, and that I get to draw a winner for this massive bag of goodies. I'm super excited to get going. So from my big cone of natural undyed Linomukakal, I have wound these two balls. I love knitting from balls. I've realized that I'm not a cake appreciation knitter. I'm like, when it comes to yarn, I like cake, I like baking, but when it comes to knitting, I really love knitting from these very sturdy balls. And it kind of makes sense because the linen is a slippery material, and when you have it in this compact form, when you knit holding two threads, like because that's how most of the patterns for Linomukakal work, like the Remimuta, you kind of knit holding the Linomukakal double, and then you can use a needle that is like a 3mm, or actually my preferred one is a 2.75mm needle, and it's perfect. Like this, I don't get massive knots or salad or craziness, which when I have knitted from Linomukakal cakes in the past, I have managed to make a huge mess of that. So this year I kind of prepared myself for knitting, and I've kind of maneuvered my loss of knitting mojo by just kind of winding balls and making plans and downloading patterns, and I've downloaded quite a few patterns. This natural Linomukakal wants to become a flutter butt shirt, and I might even have enough to make the flutter butt shorts, designed by Jessie May or Jessie May D Designs, I think. And I bought the patterns through her PayHip. I'm very excited. I did actually do like a bundle purchase of that pattern, of the outline tank, and her classic cozy raglan light pattern. So I've got quite a few Jessie May design plans, because shame on me, I have not yet knitted any of her patterns, so it's about time. So I'm gonna get into that with I think I'm gonna start with a flutter butt top. And the blue yarn that I showed is for a t-shirt that I cannot wait to knit. I still haven't bought the pattern, but I will go about it, and I know that I want it in this blue, and that is the Koi Tea by Ginkgo Bee. I absolutely adore the simplicity and the details that this pattern combines. I think it's going to be very, very wearable, and it will go with my wardrobe. Like, it will be so perfect. So it's definitely in kind of settling on that pattern, as well as the Jessie May patterns. But they are my summer makes, because my dream, and I will definitely knit it because it's a bit of the featured design for a make along this year, is the Remy Muta cardigan. However, I will use one strand of the Remy Muta cardigan. I'm gonna knit holding one strand of linomukakal with one strand of silk mohair, so that it is more of an autumn item, because I know I'm not going to be able to finish that in summer. I will probably be knitting that throughout our knit along and towards the end. And I also chose to pair the linomukakal with the mohair because I want to knit the cardigan in the round and then stick it. So I'm super excited if any of you want to join. I think it's a beautiful pattern with a really, really darling with a really, really sweet feature, which is a little lace panel throughout the back. It's got pockets and it's gorgeous. I'm gonna add a picture here so that you can have a bit of a glimpse of Julia's design. I am very excited to feature her design in this year's linomukakal knit along, because she's a friend, and Remy Muta came about as a combination, or the name came about as a combination of Ruta's name, who is the owner and creator of Wallen Berlin, Ruta, and Mimi, because I host the linomukakal, and I thought it was so nice of Julia that she said it would be the Remy Muta cardigan, and it's just an honor to have someone agree that the linomukakal knit along is something worth celebrating, and that she felt inspired by it. That made me very happy, and I apologize for taking much longer to start this year's linomukakal knit along. It has a lot to do with my crazy situation, and I guess we can all relate to this kind of feeling a bit like we have heavy muddy boots walking through daily life after coming out of a bog. That's what I feel like. I'm wearing these wellies with all this mud and grass on it, and it just slows me down in the things that I do with joy. Normally I feel like they're kind of weighed down a little. My kind of I'm a bit heavy when I take more time to get going and to get places. So apologies for the delays, and thank you all for sticking with me and being so patient, waiting for this podcast and waiting for my community activities. I hope we can get them started and get to enjoy them this year. Laura, which you've already seen, which I haven't knitted for myself, there is a massive stash buster. Can you guess what I'm referring to? Yes, I finished. I can't believe it. This is the glorious, the humongous, the color joy of Stash Stravaganza shawl. Well, the Slipstravaganza shawl, designed by Stephen West, and I cannot thank Stephen West enough for his creations, because honestly it's so much fun. Because once you kind of know what you're doing, and you get into the zone, and especially with all these kind of massive amounts of stitches on your needles, you do need quite a lot of time per row, but it kind of gets you through stuff, I was spending, half an hour to an hour per row at the very end, and time is kind of recorded in this. Like, every stitch has got a memory attached to it, and yeah, this was a lot of crafting. And I think I have shared a lot about the different yarns I've used. So I want to just highlight a few, especially because there's so many end bits from previous projects in here that I might not have spoken about in the past. So the main colors I really enjoyed kind of fading from this very dark, almost black Daughter of a Shepherd, and then we had brown and this kind of greyish Murke yarn. Then I had a kind of light grey Lana Rara, and this here, this kind of one that I did the edge with, is the Abhinaya Yarn by Marisa from Portugal. She is a Spanish yarn maker and lives in Portugal, and I absolutely loved working with it. I'm so excited to dream up of more projects. I think I do want to have a cardigan made with just her yarn, because it was such a delight. I ran out for the I-cord, so the last stripe here and the I-cord is another Murke yarn. All this Murke yarn was gifted to me by my friend Yvonne, who had a stash of it and didn't know what to do with it, and she knew I'm like a huge fan of all these kind of natural colored, different fleece color tones, and she's like, you'll work something out to do with it. And I was like, yes, I'm so excited. I have more yarn to dream what to make from. And then I had all these kind of leftover smaller bits of sock yarns. Then there is some rosy green wool that I wanted to kind of add in and create this kind of vintage look. And when I look at pictures of this shawl now, or when I look at it from afar, it has worked. It has made this kind of vintage, very 70s, very kind of colorful rainbow, but subtle, because I think the natural fleece colored sheep background kind of subtlified it. I kind of made it less bright in a way. I don't know. I'm thinking the framework works as a kind of natural yarn frame, plus all these like leftover crazy colors, including this naturally dyed beautiful Ocean by the Sea. I need to make something with this yarn. It's her butter, I think butterbeer. Oh god, sorry. It's her utterly butterly, really nice golden color, and I have a mohair that she sent me as a little mini skein extra that I've paired with a skein that I won years ago. So it's like really deep stash. And I keep looking at the skeins and wondering what else to make from it, because it's absolutely beautiful. And then, you know, the best bit of this shawl, I think, these triangles, I made from a Zari alpaca from my friend Nora, who is Kitsgan. It's just so subtly purpley, lilac-y, good. And all of this still didn't use up most of the leftover yarns. There's still leftovers and scraps, and I will be forever snowed under with yarn, I guess. This shawl is huge. It's more like a blanket, and I use it a lot on the sofa as a little shoulder blanket or on my lap, and I like wearing it. I think I'll have to wait for winter to like really be enjoying it, because look, it's just like substantial and gorgeously warm through all the wool and color combination. As this was a mystery knit along, there were films for each one of the sections, so you can kind of learn how the pattern works, and obviously you should only really go and see his videos once you've bought his patterns. And I loved how we had to wait for the next clue to come out, and it's just exciting. I cannot knit quicker. I'm quite a slow knitter, so it did take me all the way until April from October. I think it's because I'm so yeah, my focus is so erratic. So I do start projects and I end projects, and I kind of have projects on the go parallel, because when I have an inspiration I will often cast on. It's strange not to feel that right now. I think it also is a bit of like, I finished this big project and now I'm in a bit of a kind of the black hole after a big achievement stage, as well as this grief moment in my life. So it's a combination of lots of factors that I'm in a very un-Mimi behavior right now, that I'm not like casting on left, right and center because I've cast on, is a sign. But I'm gonna take it slow, and I'm gonna show you some of the yarns that I've bought, because I do dream to make another West Knit shawl. So I'm going to keep the space empty here and show you. I'm going to try and hold up all the yarns in one go. Let's see. What do you think? A new Stephen West shawl. I saw there is a shawl design called Shawl Party. That might be it. It might become the Fantastitch. In any case, I'm thinking this palette is great. I especially love, and I will pick out to feature this Lollipop Zari silk by my friend Nora, who is Keats Garn. And I also bought a mini skein set from her with all these different colors, including, again, Lollipop and this, the Cotti colorway. And I still have some of the Zuri Cotti left, that just to kind of bridge over to my slipstravaganza cool slipstravaganza shawl. Is the color of those triangle shapes, and I have a twisted sock yarn in that same colorway, plus more of the Lollipop and this really dark blue, which is gonna have to be a feature. And then these kind of speckled colorways. All glorious Keats Garn treats. Then I think it's only going to feature in some areas, because I'm still dreaming of knitting also a pair of socks with this beautiful woolly mammoth fiber. This was a birthday present. I don't know if you can remember from the last podcast where I would have shown maybe some images of this. This was a present by my friend Alice, and I absolutely love the colorways. She also made me this bento bag, Alice. I love it. And it's so good together. I'll definitely be knitting socks out of this bag from this yarn. because Alice is my kind of sock knitting support friend who kind of pushes me, because she always crafts really beautiful socks, and she inspires me to get going with my socks. So I'm excited to kind of feature this light blue throughout the shawl in small bits, because obviously I do want to make socks from it as well. Then this glorious Yippee yarn, it's releasing my inner bob, so it's kind of like a sunset, sunrise gorgeousness, and I think that bridges some of these colors. It kind of bridges, I don't know if that makes sense. So I think the red is kind of the continuation from this orange. I think it will work really well together. And as a kind of palette fresher, this again a present from my friends Linda and Yvonne, another birthday present, is this glorious Southdown yarn, which I love. I love working with this yarn. It's very, very beautiful, and this is their undyed from, she always includes the flock. This is the Ridings flock, which I think I haven't had a sample of. Yeah, anyway, this is good. It roots me and brings me back and connects me. So I love this palette. That would be counted as kind of an acquisitions part, as well as a book that I bought that I really wanted to show here. Before going into the mending part, I'll show you an acquisition, which is a book. This is Embody by Jacqueline Cieslak, a Pom Pom Press publication. It is glorious because it combines both knitting and sewing patterns, and I also bought linen from my work. I always buy everything at work, but that's how it is, to sew some of the garments in here. Actually, I wanted to start with a top rather than a whole dress. I'm going to show you the wool fork. So this is the dress, and I absolutely love the shape of it. But I'm going to start with kind of like a tunic version of that same pattern, and that's throughout this. You have different versions and different lengths and with sleeves and without. Here, the schematics. You can see that the pattern always comes with all these versions and all these kind of options, and I like that about this book. The knitting patterns are the same, so I want to actually sew this like a tunic top, and I chose blue very similar to this one. I've just hand washed it because it got a bit dusty in our kind of work environment at the moment. I don't know if you can see in the background, we're currently building a mezzanine and a high bed, and the fabric was out because I've got all my stuff out and it got a bit sawdusty, so I've washed it and can't show you this time, but maybe next time. And yeah, I'm super excited that I invested money into Jacqueline's book. It's great. I really like it, and I like the way it's very explanatory when it comes to making adjustments for the way to knit and sew so it fits your body. And I think that's it's just brilliant. I love it. And I knitted her plover cardigan, and it was a beautifully written pattern, so I can't wait also to dive into the knitting. But for now, I bought it mainly to start on the sewing. The knitting will come later. Okay, so if we're talking acquisitions, there's one thing I haven't shown you that is super practical. It's my knitting needle case. I love it! It's from my friend Lisa, who is Erica Eccles, and we kind of custom designed this. She made it, and I got to say all these things, which is like the most luxury you can have when you order yourself something you really need, because I needed a needle case that both combines circular needle pockets plus DPNs, because I've started using DPNs for my sock knitting, and I mainly use knitting needles with these red cables from Chiaogu, and I wanted to have a case to put it all into. Plus, I needed somewhere to put stitch markers, darning needle, this is kind of like the needle that I use for weaving in ends, and like a sewing needle, because I also like split when I darn in the ends. When I knit socks, I like splitting the yarn and actually going through with a pointy needle. So I have both of those attached there, and here I have a needle book hidden in the case behind here. Sometimes there's also scissors in here. Oh, and my needle measurement tool, which is I love it. I don't know if you can see. This was made in the GDR. This was made nearby, but in a country that doesn't exist anymore. Can you just fathom that? It was made in the East Berlin plastic factory. It's like, that was a lifetime ago. Yeah, now I have this little button. This is something I got from Wild and Woolly, my favorite yarn store in London. It says knit it yourself, and I sometimes wear it because I get comments like, "Ooh, can you make me that?" And I'll just go, read this, read the sign, knit it yourself. I'm not knitting for nobody, apart from my kids maybe, or my friends' kids, or your friends' kids, or I'm not just knitting for someone who comes up to me. No, it's not happening. And I just love that badge. So, and I love this velvety blue ribbon and the blue and pink. It's perfect. Thank you, Lisa, so much for this beautiful needle case that I bought with my birthday money for myself, and I'm super excited that I have this. Always, I use it always. Okay, let's go over to mending, and then it'll be the end of this thing, because I probably have chatted again for another. My podcasts are always very chatty, I apologize. Mending will have to be this one sock. This is the sock as it should be. It is the Midnight Dancer sock by Zari Northland. And as you can tell, both my boot has colored off, has lost some color, and I've got a hole here which is self-made. I just darned in the end bit. It's not like, there's no hole has happened. I just made a mistake when I wove in this end. So I've got to fix that bit. That's just a bobble. I got to fix that bit. These stains won't come off. I've already tried. So I've got to just live with stains from my boots. And then I've got this kind of frilled cuff. But the main mending project is actually sock 2, which I accidentally felted in the washing machine. As you can tell, the sock itself there's nothing has happened here, because this is the Jawohl sock yarn from Lang Yarns, and it's super wash, super strong. But the most glorious and beautiful yarn here, which is a sock yarn by Ocean Rose, who is Ocean by the Sea, and it's in this beautiful minty colorway. And I absolutely love it. I love the color, I love the feel of it, and I love knitting with it. I've actually saved some of it for a toy knit piece that I will, my fingers crossed, maybe also start in this Magic 3 make along. And now I have to actually delve into that skein of yarn, hopefully be enough for both the toy and actually re-knitting that bit for this sock. So I'm basically gonna do I'm gonna frankenfix, because this sock is actually okay till here, so I'm gonna have to cut off here, re-knit the top part from the yarn in this beautiful color, and then Kitchener stitch rejoin at this point the old sock with the new cuff. So that is my mending plan, and I'm hoping to be able to show that at the end of this month. I'm kind of doing this thing of holding myself accountable for my own mending by podcasting about it. I'm hopefully gonna do it, because it's been like this for about a year, and I loved the socks when I got to wear them for about 3 days, and then I did this. That was like me. I put this in the washing machine and I got it out and I was like, stupid, because it's a beautiful non-superwash 100% wool. And I did this kind of combination because I already knew I didn't want to use something so precious for a whole sock, but this is the part of the sock that you see out of the shoes. So I was just kind of being clever, and I tricked myself into making something that's actually now felted. However, once I've cut it off and I got this off, I'm gonna make something from this felted item, because for example, Ginger Bear could do with some shorts, and this somehow looks a bit like flutter-butt shorts, so I could kind of make them into her shorts, I think. I don't know. I might be able to use up this kind of broken item for something new, and I'm excited about that, because when I made this is actually the Jacqueline Sees Like Plover cardigan swatch I did, and then I made it as a cardigan for this teddy bear, and I made linen overalls that ended up not fitting this teddy but the smaller teddy. They're both Woolen Hearted Bears by my friend Fran, and they're always happy to share their garments, especially if they don't, whoever fits it wears it kind of thing in my teddy crew. And yeah, but I thought that would be fun to make a little set of shorts for this bear from the mended socks. So I'll keep you posted. On this mending project. I'm very excited about that. And now I'm excited to share a bit more about our home with you, because the knit reportage will actually be a little bit of filming and behind the scenes of the progress of this construction. You can maybe make out in the back. There's ladders, there's things, because it's all still in the making. I'm gonna film around the room a little bit as is, and I'm gonna share some photos and maybe old clips that I filmed when we started this. And the Knit Tarot Oracle will actually be something to do with my mojo, like a question about how to retrace my steps to heal that, to bridge over from my knitting mojo loss into a kind of productivity that's positive for me. So that is how I'm asking. It's a very personal tarot knit oracle, because I need that right now. Sometimes my personal tarot knit oracles might relate to a question you have. Maybe sometimes the answers might give you a bit of a outside. Maybe it's not really something you're interested in, so don't worry, you can leave now, and you don't have to see like our kind of funky crazy room with all the like wood piled everywhere. You don't have to see the chaos, and you don't have to read tarot cards with me. You're free to go. I'm happy you joined me until here, and I will make sure to report back at the end of the month, because I thought I will try and get into this kind of monthly podcast rhythm, you're always free to join me on Patreon, and you're always invited over there, because that's a way to support me in my podcast making, in my writing, in my zine making, in my tarot reading, in my general kind of effort to give something back to this community. And I appreciate anyone who comes in and goes in that area. There's no strings attached. You know, if there's something that I am, then that is kind of happy to have you, and you know, I'll also let you go. You're not attached to me with, I don't want you to feel that stress that you kind of owe me that support, but I'll appreciate it, let's put it that way. And I'll appreciate any of your input that comes towards Magic 3 Mile, Linomukakal Knit Along. Keep me posted about your knit dreams when it comes to linen love. I'm definitely excited to share and show what I'll craft, and who knows, maybe I'll cast on tonight. Please. Thank you so much for your time, and lots of love from me. Stick around for my Knit Tarot Oracle at the very end, and the knit reportage right now. Lots of love.
Yeah.